Stay at La Parka Meridian, New York, featuring breathtaking views of Central Park and the Manhattan skyline. La Parka Meridian, uptown, not uptight.
Okay, he's one of the country's most distinguished broadcast journalists, best-selling author as well. Latest book is called A Long Way From Home, now out in paperback form. And please welcome Tom Brokaw.
Great. Thank you.
That great voice, too. You know, instantly.
Ba-ba-boom.
This is, you know what I'm saying? This is the real thing. This is solid, rock-hard Anchorman.
Tom, when you walk down the street, do you hear dun, 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 dun?
No, I hear people saying, "Hey, Mr. Jennings, nice to see you."
Love the book, Tom. Reread it in paperback the other night. A Long Way From Home, it's called. And what a wonderful remembrance of how you grew up. And I love a couple of lines in here. He became the man he is because of the boy he was.
Yes.
You know? And there's a lot of truth in that. And so, but I was also surprised to see the amount of shuffling around you did as a young man. You know, I mean, you went to the University of Iowa. You didn't take it that seriously. There were a lot.
That's an understatement.
Really? Huh?
I majored in, as I like to say, women and beer when I was at the University of Iowa. And,
Yes.
My kind of guy, Tom.
turns out-
Tom, are you kidding?
Turns out they didn't award a degree in those two fields, which came to a big surprise to me. Went back to the University of South Dakota and kind of fell off the high board there as well. It took me a while to get myself organized.
And incidentally, always had a crush on the girl he eventually married,
Right.
Meredith. Had a crush on her, but she wouldn't have anything to do with him.
No, she pretty well wrote me off. I was
Yes.
we were great friends in high school. I was an athlete. She was the cheerleader. We were the president and vice president of the class and had the leads in the class play and so on. But always very wary of me.
Yes.
I was kind of a high school whiz kid, and I thought that it was just life was there for cruising. And when I fell off the high board in college, she wrote me a very strong letter saying, "You're plainly not going to amount to anything. Your life is going nowhere. Don't bother to call or come by." And
Tom Brokaw got chewed out.
took the letter to a mutual friend of ours, and he read it very carefully and looked up at me and said, "I think she's right." And it was a big wake-up call, and I've said that to other young people who are going through difficult times, turbulent periods in their lives, and I say it's easier to do it right than it is to do it wrong. When you do it wrong, you're constantly trying to make up excuses and catch up and so on. If you do it right the first time, you can still have fun.
So what was the turning point, Tom, in straightening you out?
Well, I think that letter had a lot to do with
Okay.
it. She kind of exposed me, as it were. I was trying to fool myself, thinking I could, get through all of this. And then when I realized that I was disappointing not only my family, but a lot of my friends, and a college professor who was the head of the political science department, where I was a major, called me over one day and said, "I've got a great plan for you." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Farber." He said, "I want you to drop out of school and get all of this out of your system on your own time, and then come back when you can do us some good."
No kidding.
This is the same college professor who was a mentor to Pat O'Brien, for example, who was on Access Hollywood,
Right,
and
sure.
he was a mentor to a lot of senators and governors and other people from South Dakota. So I went away for about 4 months, worked at a television station not too far away, and saw the problems of everyday life if you didn't have a college degree, if you were kind of stuck in a rut. I went crawling back to him and I said, "Please, let me come back. I get it."
Wow, that's some story. See how that guy changed his life? Because who knew that you were going to become, the distinguished Anchorman you are?
Well,
Not only that, but then wound up pursuing that girl again and marrying her. Yes.
Wow.
We'll be right back with Tom in a moment.
Tomorrow on Live, singer Phil Collins.
Got some pictures here from the book, and incidentally, he describes his childhood and the surroundings. Yankton, South Dakota. How many people lived there in those days?
well, when I moved there, it was just slightly more than 9,000. Now there are about 13,000 people
Yeah,
there.
wow. Anyway, there's young Tommy Brokaw.
Isn't he cute?
There he is with his brothers.
The brothers, the notorious threesome. Right.
And there's the hotel that the family
My
owned.
father's family started this little railroading hotel in northern South Dakota, and I would spend a lot of time there, and it was like a 19th century black and white experience. But it's gone now, but it was a really vital place at one
Called
time.
the Brokaw House?
Called the Brokaw House.
Yes. And there's Tom's basketball team.
Right.
Were you pretty good, I guess, huh?
Not bad. I was a starter, and we were upset in the tournament right before the state tournaments, and they still remember that. I can go back, no matter what I do in life, I can go back to Yankton, and they'll say, you guys lost to Beresford. That's all that counts, right?
The beginning of your
I was in the
broadcasting
college
career?
radio station. I worked at a lot of stations. I was telling the Bare Naked Ladies, the band backstage, that when I began, rock and roll was just getting underway, and I'd listen to this great station in New Orleans and hear Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis. It was a great time.
And there she is. There's the love of his life, Meredith. Yes, Miss South Dakota.
So beautiful.
And Tom went on to marry. You've been married a long time now, right, Tom?
40 years last year.
What picture is this, Tom?
That's the picture of the day.
That's the Meredith
We
wedding.
were,
Is that the
the day we were married, we were impossibly young. We thought that we were ready for life. She was 21 and I was 22.
Wow.
When we look back on it now, we think, what were we thinking? But thank God, it all worked out great.
Sure did. Now, do you still feel connected to that time and that place?
I do. We went back for our 40th anniversary and celebrated in Yankton with old friends, even though we don't have family there. And when I'm on the news, I often think, what are the people in Main Street in Yankton going to think about this story? Are we telling it in a way that they feel connected to it? I think that's been instructive to me as well. And I go back once or twice a year, and we have a lot of projects that we're involved in South Dakota. So, yeah, it's really provided a foundation for the life that I have now.
Absolutely. Well, good for you, Tom. Anyway, you'll love this book. It's called A Long Way From Home. Tom, thank you very, very much. Always good to have you here. We'll be back with Bare Naked Ladies.
Monday on Live, actor Hayden Christensen.